Hey, very early this morning because I'm getting ready to leave and I won't be back until around 11 or 12. So I thought I'd try and get at least one video out today. Uh, here's we start off with I don't know what you call this, just dumb shit story. A Special Forces soldier was arrested because he won $400,000 on the betting on the raid that captured Maduro in Venezuela. Now, I just think that's, well, you know, you're seeing all the politicians are making money off all these moves. Why shouldn't the troops make some money out of it too? I don't see why it's illegal. I don't know about that. I don't know the rules and regulations involving betting on on yourself and your men in a combat situation. I don't see. I never saw anything when I was in the service about that, so I don't know. That's going to be proving an interesting case. Now, here's a reason for us all to go out and boycott Facebook. Okay, Meta is laying off 8,000 people. Now, layoffs tend to indicate that they could possibly be brought back. The deal is he's firing 8,000 people. He ain't bringing them back. He's using AI to replace 8,000 human beings. And that's just the beginning, folks. Trust me, it's going to get worse. And he is a money-hungry little bastard, that little kid. He's always been that way. He's never cared about anything other than money and his prestige, which his prestige isn't really that high, but money's a big deal for him. So, wait and see what happens there. That should be interesting. But I do suggest that we just stop using it as much as possible. Pay no attention to the advertising that's on it. Delete the advertising if you want. Just click the button and say why, because I don't want it. That's all. Not interested. Stuff like that. It takes a couple of seconds, but you know what? It'll hurt him, and that's what you want to do. You want to hurt him, because he's hurting 8,000 people right now. Okay. Now, there had been stories about the government taking a 10% interest in Spirit Airlines for the buyback. Now Trump is walking around saying, well, maybe we'll just buy it. What are you going to do with it? Turn it into an Air America or a CIA thing or what? What are you going to do with it, huh? Nobody's flying it now. Nobody's going to fly it if you buy it. Less people will probably fly it if you buy it, Trump. You moron. You're just creating problems for the next president. That's all he's doing right now. He's just creating problems for whoever comes into office after him, even if it's one of his old buddies like J.D. Vance or something like that, which J.D. Vance is not a friend with Donald Trump. And don't anybody believe that, okay? Just like Pence is going around saying that, he's saying bad things about Trump. Pence is not in line for anything from Trump. Never was, and he never will be. And neither will J.D. Vance. Most vice presidents are like that, Occasionally, they come in and they do a good job, like LBJ after Kennedy died, something like that. They finish up his work, they stay true to their principles. But in most cases, nah, it's just bullshit. In Louisiana, now, you remember Louisiana had the guy that shot 8 kids. Now, a couple days later, a couple people get in an argument in a mall in Louisiana, in Baton Rouge, and start a gunfight. And like 15 people get wounded. This is, first of all, it shows that, people don't know how to use guns. They're not very accurate. And there's a great deal of panic when people start shooting at each other. All right? You don't sit there and take aim like you do at a target. It's what they call offhand shooting. And you very seldom hit anything with those offhand shots. Occasionally you'll get lucky if you put enough of them into the area. Like that's why they came out with the AR-15, M14, and whatnot, high capacity round magazines. The Chinese already knew this. The Chinese during Korea and whatnot, they are notorious bad eyesight. So they just threw out a lot of bullets. The Tommy gun they used. Threw out 500 or 600 rounds a minute. But just too many shootings and stuff now. People see, if you have a gun in your pocket, it's like if you have a knife in your pocket and you get into an argument and you have a bad temperature, the tendency is to use that knife. Now, if you're carrying a gun in a holster, it takes a lot of strength to not use that, because if you put 5 people together and you get in a big argument, one of those 5 people is probably going to pull the gun. That's just the way things go. And then you've got what they have in Louisiana, 15 people wounded, and God knows how many shots were fired. You get these high capacity Glocks with 16 rounds. 5 people times 16, that's what, the 80 rounds, something like that. 80, 90 rounds fired. Somebody's going to get hurt. And Glocks, as fast as you could pull those semi-automatics, as fast as you could pull the trigger till they jam from overheating. All right. Now here's an interesting story. This is based on statistics. I forgot who did this. But anyhow, a survey was taken showing that Americans are more unhappy than ever. Now that is something we all know about. If you're an American, you know that you don't see a lot of happy people with wars going on and everything like that. Nobody's got in the streets cheering and everything, You have ICE running around the country, which is just one of the most depressing things you can possibly have happen to your community. So you've got all this stuff going on, and no wonder people are more unhappy than ever, because none of this stuff had ever happened before like this. Except I think they said that in World War II there were situations like this. I don't know. I wasn't around then. I came after World War II. I'm a baby boomer, folks. All right. Conceived in April of 1946 and born in April of 45 and born in January of 46. That's me. But the other side of this thing is they're richer than they ever were, Americans. I don't know about that. With the cost of living and stuff, I don't know. What do you classify richer? Do you classify that as money in the bank, or is it something else? I don't know. Not really up to date on that kind of stuff, so I don't know. But we'll wait and see what happens with that one. Kind of strange, but it does bring to light that money can't buy happiness. See? That's what proverb or whatever it is has been around for years and years and years, and now it's turning out to be true, apparently, based upon the fact that we're richer but we're more unhappy. A lot of things make you unhappy in life. Expectations that aren't met, things that go wrong in the grand scheme of things. Too much coffee, folks. Sorry about that. But that's all what unhappiness is. If you're unhappy from the day you're born, there's something wrong with you, or your situation is just not right. You were dealt a bad hand from the get-go. But most people find out that we go through periods of unhappiness or unsettled or whatever you want to call it. That's part of our life. Let's see. I started out in high school hating school, getting beat up a lot, being a fat kid. Got out of high school, turned into a nice, good-looking guy. had the job I wanted, but then again, I didn't like it because I did. After a while, I didn't like it, and I had another job which I really didn't like after 5 years. Just because I have this ability to see stuff the average individual doesn't notice. Crooked deals and stuff like this. I'm working for Chrysler Credit, and I'm saying to myself, these guys are lucky they're not all in jail, with the stuff they're pulling. And that's, and that was the whole company, basically. They were like that. So, I quit that job, started tending bar. That was the longest job I ever had. I did that. I was in the restaurant industry from the time I was 31, 32, 30 years roughly. And I stayed and kept my hand involved in it till I left the United States. And I'm still friends with a lot of those people. That was a lot of fun. I got laid every night. If I wanted to, I could get laid every night. I mean, it was just, a different woman every night. It was kind of a strange situation. Not good for my personality profile, I guess. But it was interesting. I enjoyed it. I didn't have anybody telling me what to do. And when they did, I quit and I moved someplace else. But then I sat around one day. I guess I was in my 40s when I decided to do this. No, I was closer to 50, I think. When I looked around and I said, I was over 50, right, because I celebrated my 50th birthday working in a restaurant with some good friends of mine. And I sat around and I said, there aren't a lot of 60-year-old bartenders or waiters making any kind of living here. I said, I got no money in the bank. What do I do? So I started my own business, a cleaning business, and I became fairly successful at it with a minimum amount of people, good people. My wife came, that's when I met my wife, and she came and worked with me until she got tired of it. And then she went to work for Walmart, and then she wanted to come down here, and that was where I made the mistake. I did it when she wanted to. If I had kept her in the United States for another year and we had worked another year, things would have been different. We wouldn't be living where we're living in Colombia right now. We'd be living a lot better. And the fact that she's ill now wouldn't have that much of an effect on us as it is now, Because I look at it the way I'm going is that at the present rate of expenditures, I'll be dead broke by the end of the year. So, at which case my wife can fend for herself because I'm out of here. I know that sounds callous, but I can't make a living down here doing anything. At least I can be a greeter or something at a Walmart or a Costco or something up in the United States. Can't do shit down here. The older you get down here, the less anybody gives a shit about you. That's the problem with Colombia. They don't care about their old people. They stick them in corners at parties and whatnot, and they're supposed to enjoy themselves, and they don't. Now, my father-in-law speaks English, speaks Spanish. He's Colombian, and we go to parties, and more people. And not that anybody really talks to me, but more people talk to me than they talk to him. And he's a great guy. He really is. He's a nice guy. I mean, I don't know what he did before I met him. I have a hunch he wasn't always that nice a guy. But that's life. He's always been good to me, nice to me, and whatnot. So I don't get excited, and yell and scream about it. So, anyhow, but not being happy is sort of something that happens to us in life, and it's how it's how we handle those situations indicate just where we're going in our lives. If that makes any sense to you. If you hit this unhappiness at a young level and you recover, you're probably going to be extremely successful in life. If you don't recover, you're not going to be successful, and you're going to be miserable all your life. You don't have a chance. All right, you have to, and it's like when you go to therapy, okay? The doctor, or you go into recovery. It's the same situation. It's just different. One's physical and mental. One's more mental than physical. You have to want to be helped. if you don't want to be helped, you're just putting in the time, and that's very makes it very desperate for you. And trust me, I saw that. I was in a group when I started therapy. I was in a group, and I looked around and said, "This guy's keeping people in the group." And the therapist was an ex-football player from the Jets, and I knew him. He was a nice guy, and we got along really well. But I just woke up one day and realized. I looked at a couple of people, and I told them that. I said, "Listen," I told this one guy. I said, "Listen, every time you come in here with the same problem, and you discuss the same issues. You're not wanting to help. You're not benefiting from your own work. You know, it's not we're not doing anything for you, but you're not benefiting from what you're doing here. You know." And I said, and then that was the last time I was in the group. And then I found another therapist that was entirely differently structured and a different style of therapy, and that helped me a lot. You know, it got me to where I am right now. So, anyhow, that's it for me for right now. I'm going to try and come back and do a live video later. I don't know what time I'm going to get back. I'm going to be leaving in about a half hour for take Lucy with me, and I don't want, it's too early for me to do a live video right now, but I'm going to be taking Lucy down to the spa and doing some shopping down there in the town, and hopefully it won't be so hot that I come back with no energy or anything like that. And then you guys and I will have an opportunity to do the live video, probably closer to maybe 11, maybe close to 11 o'clock, maybe close to 12 o'clock. I don't know. I'm not going to rush it. You know, I have cleaning personnel in the house today and everything else. So, guys, take care. Hit that subscribe button for me, will you please? That means a lot to me. I just had a subscriber. What was this? Hold on a second. I want to make sure I say it right. No, that's not what I want. I don't know what happened there. It's all right, I can deal with that. This is where I want to go. It's Mupple, the real Paul Nation. He says he loves my content, and I appreciate that. Then we got Jim, who you probably see me talking to on the live videos all the time. He's always there, you know. But I've got 24 fairly loyal subscribers, and some of them are very good friends of mine. But I would appreciate, if we could get a few more in there, and especially now. I'm going to have to start trying to make money pretty soon. So, cost of living keeps going up. The paychecks don't go up anymore. There aren't any. So, but hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a dime, folks. I don't sell stuff. I'm not trying to make money on this, If I make any money at all, I need something like 2,000 subscribers before I can make any money, and I doubt I'll get to that before I'm dead. So in the meantime, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. It does benefit me personally in terms of esteem and feeling good about myself when I see a new subscriber and everything like that, and I see comments from the ones that I have that they like what I'm doing. So do that for me, and I appreciate it. In the meantime, have a great day, and I hope to see you later, but I don't make any promises.